Hey, we're Cynic, and you're getting your fix of
metal injection.
Rob here with Sean and Paul of Cynic. You guys just played an amazing acoustic show, and it's done to promote your new album, Carbon-Based Anatomy.
Good.
Now, could you take us through how this album came to be? Or is that too much for an intro question? Do you want to start out a little lighter?
No, we can start with that.
We like weight.
Basically, it happened. We were working on another record, and our managers said that because of the timing of this record, of the new album coming out, probably not till like next summer, just based on the time that we needed. He was wondering if we could try and get something out this year, just to kind of keep working, basically, and to stay out there. And so we just looked at a bunch of stuff that we had around that wasn't going to be on the album, and but we thought was cool, and we just experimented for a little bit. It was probably like a week period where we just played with something to see if it would gel, and then we knew it was like, oh, okay, no, this is totally cool, and we just busted it out. It was really the summer. It was like over a 6-week period that it happened.
It was really quick.
Yeah.
I think from actually getting in the room, figuring out the arrangements of the songs, to delivering artwork in a mastered master was like 6 weeks, which is, it's pretty daunting task, and it was almost an excuse to get back out here and to tour again, but the whole process kind of summed into
Produced an interesting result.
Yeah, an absolutely
of
beautiful thing.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it.
Yeah, well, that's, I think, what's so cool is that when you kind of get pushed into a corner and you have to just make it happen, like, the unexpected happens.
Right.
And that was what happened. It was just like completely just spontaneous, free, creative thing, and that was so groovy that it just kind of happened, and it wouldn't have, under any other circumstances, it wouldn't have produced this album.
No, and just kind of knowing what the new material is like versus what to you people is the new material. It's the perfect stepping stone.
What do you mean, you people?
Well, the people who haven't heard. Okay, you people. Tall people with microphones.
Oh, okay.
To be more specific.
Thank you.
No, but it really is kind of just a logical stepping stone. It's almost an extreme, again, like Retraced was to Traced in Air in a certain way. And,
Well, yeah, when I first heard the EP, I definitely felt like a familiarity with the sound you guys were going for, and it was like almost reassuring, like, oh, okay, new Cynic music, awesome.
Right.
So, but you're saying you guys started writing full length, and then
Yeah, I mean, there's always a pool of material that we're pulling from, so it's not really like writing a full length as much as it is just kind of refining existing music and putting the Cynic cap on.
And Paul has a tremendous reservoir of songs and music, and it's really wrapping your head around the Cynic mindset of how you're interpreting these songs and what fits with what. You know what I mean? And these 6 songs, 3 started out really as songs, and then we have intros and kind of interstitial stuff that's complementary to the whole piece. But we always try to have things that fit together, and these fit together. And we already almost have a track listing for this, what's going to be the full length. And it's really interesting to take it from kind of what you guys saw tonight and then turn it into kind of what we do in the studio, and then what ends up being the live performance.
Right. Well, that's so. See, I was thinking that like this EP was like, you guys are just going to start putting out EPs.
I like that idea, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I remember horrifying our record company for a minute because I sent them an email saying, I just want to do short mini albums now. Because to me, it's like attention span wise, it doesn't make sense to do a big, long. Our music is so dense as it is and everyone's so ADD these days that it's like, why? I feel like if you do 8 to 12 songs that are this concentrated, 6 of them get lost, and it's just.
Well, and what would you prefer to have? 11-song record every 18 months, or 6 or 7 songs every 8 months. You know what I mean? And,
yeah. So who knows? I mean, maybe the next one will be 2 EPs bundled as one thing. But in our minds, it's because psychologically, even just as like somebody in the process of, it's like easier the headspace of an EP is like or just a tight little thing versus this big massive. It just. I mean, we've never done a big, massive. I mean, our longest record is 30
minutes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it's kind of the ongoing story with Cynic. I think that we just don't. Everything's short, but that's where we're at.
No, but it's true. I mean, we filter everything a million times and turn it on its head, and go through every permutation that a 6-song EP will take us. I mean, even though this was a quick version of it, those songs me and Paul have flushed. For years. I mean, it was like this was stuff that was like, this is Cynic language. This is. I mean, it's a slight departure from what everyone's used to, but to me, that's what Cynic does. I mean, from demos to Focus, from Focus to Trace to Nair, from Trace to Nair to Retrace. I mean, there's always. To me, I like to hear a band evolve. You know what I mean? To hear the same record 10 times, to me, personally, as a fan, I'd prefer to see a band evolve, even if that means going from, disco to punk, or death metal to punk, progressive, classical, whatever you want to call it.
You guys should do disco death metal.
It might happen. It might happen.
I think the time is right.
I might be back there with turntables. You never know.
This is fascinating that you guys did this whole thing in like 6 weeks, because I read some things online where you mentioned that there's like a whole concept behind the EP as well. There's a whole story to it. Mm. So like, how did you guys come up with that whole thing in such a like quick amount of time?
I mean, for me, it's like, when I say 6 weeks, it's like 6 weeks of 12 to 18-hour days.
It's just that's all you're doing.
That's all you're doing, and you're not doing anything else.
Right.
It's just completely like literally barely email and phone calls.
Especially for him, lyrics, concept.
Yeah, so it's
not even like checking your Facebook page.
I mean, I'll do little things, but it's kind of pretty much like isolation,
Right.
So it's very concentrated and kind of just get into this, mode of, and I think that's where it gets very focused. It just becomes like, so really 6 weeks could be 6 months or for some people, but it's just so tunnel vision that you get a lot done if that's all you're doing. At least for me, it's
the laundry hamper gets full. The fridge has rotten food.
I lose weight. I drink a lot of caffeine.
That's what goes on.
It's insomnia. It's just like kind of insane. Really.
It's a good diet, basically.
Yeah. It works. That and depression are awesome.
So you guys have some new touring members in the band. How did you guys pick Brandon and Max? How did they come to your attention?
Pretty sure Max was in email contact with Paul as soon as kind of the word got out. Brandon was actually, we toured with them with the Faceless and Meshuggah on the Meshuggah tour, so we knew him. And, part of the reason that the Robin and Timon thing didn't work out is the distance. And, having Brandon in our backyard and knowing the player he was and knowing that he wasn't in the Faceless. I mean, he actually sent us an email as well. It was just like kind of a no-brainer, The Max thing is just like, okay, you see him on YouTube playing City Nights from Alan Holdsworth perfectly. And then you see him in his band doing almost the Tony Teagarden growl that we had on Focus. And it's just like, you don't find that combination of phenomenal guitar player who has even the will to scream, much less, does it already. And so it was just kind of that situation. And you know, Paul and Max had been emailing and then video chatting and then sending videos, and it was obvious that you know he was the right guy. And
He has family in LA too, so it worked out. You know,
Was there a hazing process? Did he have to like?
this is it.
Go
Right now,
through.
it starts tonight, pretty much.
yeah.
You know, yeah. I mean, he's pretty much a tour dog. He's been all over, but Max is, you know, he's going to have some new experiences over the next couple of months.
Just gonna get you guys some cups of coffee.
We don't do that. But we might dock you, pay if you know.
you don't bring coffee.
Half step off, you know what I mean? No.
Also, could we talk about your live setup? One thing I noticed when I saw you guys last year was that there are no amps on stage, which is a unique way of going about playing. What exactly is the?
well, there's virtual amps.
Whoa.
You know? No, we're using this company called Fractal Audio. It's like basically a kind of amp simulator thing, and they're a really amazing company, great gear. And we have impulses of cabinets, so basically like it is like a real cabinet. It's like it does.
Just the algorithm, you
Yeah.
know, a logarithmic a computer program for basically synthesizing what this cabinet would sound, on
Yeah,
top of
I don't know.
all
I
the
think we
effects
got
and-
used to. I mean, we grew up obviously with amps and really loud rehearsal rooms, and over the years we started to realize that we needed to protect our ears, you know, because you get into that situation and it takes its toll over time. And a lot of our friends we've seen suffer greatly from just loud monitors, speakers behind them, and years of touring. So we just got into this in-ear thing, and I think for our music too, it lends itself because you can really hear everybody. It's like being in the studio. So you can be more precise, you know, with how everything feels and listening. And I mean, there's a learning curve because it can feel sterile too, you know, like where you have to feel the room also. So, but once you get around that, it's actually amazing, and it's hard to go back, you know, because it's so.
Well, the loudness,
Yeah.
then the detail. The thing you hate at first is the detail, because you get off the stage and you go, that was the worst show we've ever played. In your head, you're hearing that detail. And then when you get back to a monitor situation or where you don't have that, you're just like, oh my God, like, I
Yeah.
missed that. Like, just that being able to hear everything.
Right. Would you say you guys are like gear nerds? Like you're always trying to keep up with like the newest things, or how do you learn about?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say we kind of barely hang on. I mean, we definitely know our gear, but the learning curve for how much stuff is coming out, the volume and what things can do. I mean, it's almost overwhelming because you can spend months learning a piece of gear just to find out that there's something else now that came out that has a completely different system. And but we all have computers and home studios.
I mean, we're
and
tech geeks.
We've been
you know,
into
it's-
MIDI and
doesn't end,
synthing.
but
and
it is overwhelming because there's so much stuff out there, you know.
Right.
from our generation, it was, physical hardware, and now, 90% of it is either computer-based or, you know what I mean, your unit has the capacity to run the world, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I know. I just don't do it because I'm a nice guy.
You resist.
Yeah.
Resist the urge.
Morals and whatever. Well, the last question, there's been a lot of talk about hallucinogens lately because Steve Jobs died, and he wrote about how LSD was like one of the greatest experiences of his life. And I heard a thing or two about how you guys like hallucinogens or mind-altering experiences.
Alternate realities, sure.
What kind of stuff do you guys get
Well,
into?
since we were kids, back in the Focus days, and we were just remembering this last night because I had this little glow stick that I brought that I put on my mic stand, and my brother was there, and he's really into glow things and stuff, and we remembered how back in the Focus days we used to take LSD and do light shows for each other while on it,
Right.
and then attempt to play music, and we had all these weird, but it was kind of a bonding experience because your guard goes down when you take that stuff, and you're almost in a different head. It's like,
Right.
Who are you?
Yeah.
There's no identity. And I think over the years there's just been, I don't know, I mean, I'm not like an advocate of this stuff in terms of abusing anything, but I think that there is a lot of insight that can be gained from the medicinal aspect of it, where you can kind of see things that you may not see otherwise. And years of meditation can do that too, you know. So it's not about there being a shortcut, but it is
A shortcut.
No, it's just kind of
it is a shortcut.
It's a curious.
Even Terrence will say it's a shortcut.
Well, they call it like, you know, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of these. I mean, it's really about just kind of getting to know yourself better.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we never took LSD and went to a concert. It was like
Alone
we got
and
together,
with
right?
friends.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And it was like this thing, and
Controlled environment.
right, yeah. It wasn't like
It wasn't a
get
party.
high.
It was
Yeah,
never
it
a
wasn't-
party.
it
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it was always kind of about research and trying to understand things and really shifting and being disoriented and taking a look at that, you know.
Well, with that, I have a few tabs of LSD. So we're going to take that right now. We're going to have to cut off the interview because this is a very intimate thing. We have to discover ourselves. We have to experience ego loss. So we're going to let you guys go. Make sure to pick up the new Cynic EP, Carbon-Based Anatomy. It's out. What is out? Like November 15th?
11.
Well, I think at 15th in the States, but it's 11.
Oh,
Okay, so you people in Europe finally get a bone. Get it on the 11th. 15th in the States. Check it out. Cynic.